Hey guys, all right, so we're going to do some pretty serious statistics today. Not necessarily with, complexity and being super challenging, but there's just quite a bit of work involved. So I want to talk first about what mean absolute deviation means. So let me share a screen with you. Now this is referred to as the MAD of a set of data. Okay. Mean absolute deviation. Now, honestly, what we're doing, like what it means is within its name, even though I know it sounds confusing, the mean represents the average for a set of data, right? Absolute value, I'm sure that's something we probably need, or I'm going to go ahead and talk about because it's been a while. The absolute value, remember, is a number's positive distance from zero. So positive is the word we're going to steal for this one. And then to deviate off course, let's say I said a car deviated off course by 10 feet. That's the distance that it's away from the course, right? So here we're going to talk about the distance of numbers away from the average. We're going to find the average positive distance that numbers are from the mean, okay? So it can be a little bit overwhelming to hear that before we do an example. So we're going to do one example. In fact, I'm not going to sit here and crank out two stats examples. I'm going to have you guys attempt this one, and I will show you the answer key when we meet. So these are the top 5 salaries of the New York Yankees players in 2010. And these are in millions of dollars, okay? So you can see like the highest one was a $33 million paycheck. The bottom of the top 5 was $16.5 million. So it's a pretty big range. So when I calculate the MAD for this problem, I'm going to see that it's pretty large because of that variance, right? I could tell you more about it, but actually working it out is the best way for me to explain it to you. So the first thing you're going to do when you calculate the mean absolute deviation of a set of data is I'm going to find the mean first, okay? Now I'm going to copy all these numbers down here just to really organize my work. And on your homework tonight, you can choose to make this chart or you can actually, let me double check real quick. I'm going to stop recording really quick, pause and check what your homework is tonight because I don't know if I made you do the same thing as my in-person kids. Should I freeze like this? Okay, so I did check your homework and you'll have, I'm going to give you some roller coasters, really at the same format. And you can choose to draw this chart on the screen. It's a Cami assignment, sorry kiddos. Or I had a lot of kids start talking about shortcuts they could take when showing their work after we did an example, okay? So I don't want you to feel that you have to rewrite all the data like this. This is just to stay organized. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is calculate the mean of those numbers. And this is where I save us quite a bit of time. So I added them all up and divided by 5. And the mean after rounding is $23.4 million average for these dudes. Remember, these are top 5. Yankees are one of the highest paid baseball teams, I'm sure. But again, pretty shocking number. That's the average of the top 5 players. So now what we need to do is figure out, this is where the deviation comes in. Like, how far are each of these salaries from the average salary? Oh my God, I'm not sharing a screen anymore. Okay, I think we can still recover. Make sure I'm sharing the right screen. This one. Okay, so I'm sorry. Here is the mean that I found and I wrote it all down. So glad I didn't do the whole notes like that. Oh, that would have sucked. Okay, so now we need to figure out how far is this top salary from the average salary, okay? So this involves a subtraction problem. And I'm even going to write that I'm going to take the 33 and subtract the 23.4. Okay. And I get $9.6 million. Okay. So again, in order to not waste time, I'm going to fill in the rest of the boxes. Okay. So I have all the distances. Now comes time to take the absolute value of those distances. I don't care if this player is $9.6 million higher or if it were $9.6 million lower. I don't care. I just want to know how far it is, whether it's an increase or a decrease. So the absolute value, we're really just going to take all of these numbers and make sure they're positive. I could care less if they have a negative in front of them or not. And I don't often say that, right? So this is kind of a shortcut you could take on your homework. Do you really need this column? Or could you just write out to the side, it's positive distance, right? That is a shortcut some of you could probably take. Okay, so I have the distances ready. Now, what we're going to do, this is what the mean absolute deviation is. We need to find the average of...
Teachers, at this time, please dismiss students eating lunch 1.
We need to find the average of the distances from the mean, okay? So we're going to add all these bad boys up. We get 20.96. Now I recommend writing that down and then dividing by the 5 players that there are. And we get 4.192. Okay, so let's call that 4.2. Remember, that's not just a 4.2, that's $4.2 million is the deviation from the average. Like I said when we started, because these guys are so dramatically different from each other, I'm not surprised that that is a massive, massive difference, okay? The average distance that those players are from the mean is about $4.2 million. If I look at the bottom 5 salaries, I can see the top and the bottom, they're not that far from each other. And now remember, 0.45 in millions is like $450,000. So they're making still about $500,000 every year, right? The bottom 5 salaries. But when I solve for that distance they are from the average, it's going to be really, really low because there's not a lot of variance, right? Think about as a teacher, what it would mean if my kids, if I gave a test and I said, man, my 4th hour, they're mad, their mean absolute deviation's only like 2 points. Everybody's really close to each other. They might all have a B or they might not even all have a D, but at least they're close to each other. That's a good sign for me as a teacher that I'm consistent, right? Even if they all, didn't do so hot, that's me being consistent poorly, right? Just not doing a good job teaching that lesson that day. But if I have a class where kids have 100% on the test and kids have a 20 and that variance is huge, then I really am questioning, like, was it the lesson? Is it the kids? Like, what happened? What caused that variability, right? So it's just kind of interesting. So again, the bottom 5 salaries, we have our data. Now I'm going to show you kind of a different way to organize your information. So I'm going to not use this chart. I made my kids in class do them both and just let them try it on their homework. But here's something else you could do. I'm going to calculate the mean, and I'm not even going to use these first 2 columns of my notes. So I thought I said I'd let you do that, but I changed my mind. 3.41.41. Okay. So I have my average. I divided everything by 5, or excuse me, the sum of everything by 5 and got 0.428. So I'm going to go ahead and just round that to 4.3 or 0.43. Don't worry about rounding on your homework. Won't be needed. Okay. So I have my mean. Now I'm going to just fill in, I'm not even going to fill in the distance column. I'm going to go straight to the absolute value column. I'm going to subtract 0.45 minus 0.43, 0.02. Make sure it's positive, all right? I'm already in the positive column. I have another 0.44, so that's, see, this one I can do mentally. That's kind of cool. Okay. Now again, no negatives should be in that column whatsoever. I'm going to add those together. Divide by 5 players again. I get 0.014. Let's say about 0.01 million, which before class, I calculated as $10,000. So that variance is really, really small, again, compared to the 4.2 million variance for the top five players. Look at the difference in the amount of work that I showed. Am I more likely to make a mistake here? You better believe it. And I want you to be really careful. And if you want to stay organized and again, find your own way to organize, maybe neither one of these ways you like, and you thought, oh, I can do this. That's what this is about. It's just about staying organized. It's not that bad. It just takes organization to be successful here. Okay. Now on your homework, you are going to, I want you to decide what problem you want to do. You are either going to get the choice to find the mean absolute deviation for the speeds of, I think it's the top 8 fastest roller coasters. Yeah, the maximum speed of roller coasters, or the top 10 speeds of the fastest birds. So I was kind of shocked to see, I knew like a peregrine falcon was the fastest bird, but there's some fast birds out there. They're really fast. Anyways, feel free to get started or wait till we can talk at our meeting so we can chat and clear up any issues that you guys have. Okay, talk soon.